Hey, so it's been a while since the last video. It's definitely going to be kind of a continued trend since they're getting made whenever I'm not bashing my head against Monster Hunter or playing some other video games. Anyways, onto the main point of the video, rating. Also, there's some spoilers for Shadowbringers content, so please do that before watching. So, a quick TLDR of how I got into the game. That I'll probably go into a separate video after I talk about certain anime and games I've went through recently. Basically, I was just coming out of being a poor college student in debt into a working adult in debt. So, anyways, I had at least $15 a month to spare, and my friends were making fun of me for playing certain free-to-play games. And I decided, sure, I'll try out Final Fantasy XIV. After the initial hurdle of learning what the hell a tab target game was, because the only games I had experience in were games like Fliff, Aura Kingdom, Tree of Savior, and God forbid Ragnarok Online 2. It was kind of a hassle because the rotation was much more than hit button that deals the most damage, and the fights were pretty complex to both memorize and do a rotation on from the perspective of someone who doesn't have much experience with these types of games, even on the intended story difficulty that the game initially puts you through, because, of course, there are harder versions of these fights. There was one thing that stuck out to me though. Through doing these simple versions of the fight, I found myself motivated and wanted to try the harder versions. So after the 200-hour single-ish player story back in the Shadowbringers expansion, I found myself starting on the quote-unquote easiest difficulty, past the normal one, extreme. The first trial I did, which, minor spoiler, was Titania, and in my party of buddies who were making fun of me for playing certain games, which, by the way, they weren't actually making fun of me, but these games weren't that great to me, were a Hrothgar EU-aim cowboy, a chicken, a generic white mage player, an old man, and me. Needless to say, I got my ass kicked. The difficulty ramp up from baby hand-holding mechanics every 30 seconds to something occurring that will kill you every 6 or so seconds was jarring to say the least. But again, some sick masochistic side of me was motivated. So my baby ass decided to try Savage. Prior to me even going into Savage, and even Extreme, I was aimlessly watching guides, reviewing timelines, and crying myself to tears at how much there was to remember. Also, the mechanics slapping me faster was a definite difficulty increase. But my experience in Savage thus far, and currently, has been pretty fun, both on Party Finder and in my group of friends, who I unfortunately couldn't play too much with around the end of Shadowbringers due to COVID work stress, around 2019 to 2020. This is due to me being a nurse IRL. My first and most memorable raid tier were the first 4 floors of Eden's Gate. The learning curve ramped up from only having to run the initial 2 Shadowbringers extremes a handful of times, where usually my mistake would only kill me, to getting blown up constantly in Savage for mine and others' mistakes. So with E1S, that was actually just the easiest one. I literally cleared in under an hour of progression, and it was extremely easy due to callouts, and that's really all I remember it for. No, really. Usually the first floor of an expansion isn't that bad, Endwalker included. Usually the developers like to make the very first floor of most raids, especially for the expansion, somewhat tolerable. So moving on to E2S, or the second floor. That's where I actually started to learn and memorize the fight mechanics, positioning, and my rotation on the best class, Dragoon. Don't at me. It's the best. Unless they mess it up in 7.0, because I'm thinking it's already good, but that's another topic, so we'll see how that goes. But, with E3S and E4S, the 4th floor and the 3rd floor, they were about the same amount of learning time, with E4S having all the fun front-loaded, even on the normal version of the fight, which I would recommend to anyone. Go ahead and, do Eden and fight Titan Cart. You'll find out what I mean when you get there. Beyond just the learning and the amount of debts that I had were my buddies who I was playing with. Not all the ones from the Extreme wanted to come into Savage, but a chunk of them did. I feel like I would not have gotten remotely into raiding as much as I did without my buddies holding my hand and having us figure out mechanics together instead of, haha, you failed the mechanic, better have it by next raid night. I consider myself really lucky and can understand why the majority of players don't delve into raiding, minus not having the time to. I've heard of raid groups that disband within a few days and boot people out without much of a thought. I haven't ever been a part of those, and I feel really bad for those who have been. If I ever wanted to impart some form of message to anyone who wants to get into raiding based on my own experience, it would be to find people with the proper mindset and continue with them. My group's DPS was never the best, and we always went with fairly safe strategies that popped up in videos or party finders for our first tier together. And we got through every fight from E1 to E12 fairly well because of this, and picked up several players outside of the core 4 to 5 people who weren't entirely super good at the game. Like, they had their basics down, but they ended up going from, like, say, a gray to a pink, and you'll know what I mean if you go on that certain website that I can't say because of certain recent happenings within the 14 community. I also stated that I couldn't come in near the end of Shadowbringers, and they backpacked me through E9 through E12 after I'd done a chunk of studying for the fights to help me gear up for the Start Handwalker. And I feel like the mindset is fairly more important than your personal DPS. If you're willing to learn and apply what you learn with the 7 other people, and potentially form some friendships that can extend outside of the game, then I'd recommend getting into raiding. If not, then enjoy the game as it is. I'm just trying to vouch for raiding myself because it's one of the activities that I find to be the most fun. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, thanks, and here's a few clips of me raiding with my buddies that I found pretty funny. And I will see you on the next video. You know, whenever that is. Alright, you guys, have a good one. I'm not gonna edit that out.
It's been fun, Assy. No! No, now I have to watch myself die!
Do you guys not see his dead body
No,
right
he's
now?
still going.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Pizza slice.
It looks like you're playing Quidditch or something, like, fuck.
Oh, he has the
Set her up.
Oh, fuck. Assy's not here yet. How am I at the wall? Oh god, I have to watch myself die again!
Oh my god, the aggro over him. God
Makes
damn
me
it,
feel
Zach!
better, I just cast outburst.
Oh, thanks, buddy. I've always wanted to be alive again. Is there another enumeration for me to eat?
Fuck! Dante's too strong! Oh god,
Oh my
I don't know, guys.
I
I
wanted
think
to
this
let you
might
guys
be
know
the
this
end
is still
for us.
Holy
Oh, Kaiser, why?
Listen, I can't wait until Phil dies to this mechanic because he doesn't.
Alright. We can go to our position. We can go to our spots early.
Oh, we can't.
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Tess. Jesus Christ.
He did the leap of faith! Can I get that in slow-mo? Goodbye!
Alright. Just go into crumpling down.
To the center, and then flipping him.
Safe.
Okay, if you're positioned for crumbling down if your DPS near B. Otherwise this happens. Uh-oh. Okay, you're good.
No!
Uh-oh.
What? What? Risky, man!
What? Yeah, dude.
What happened?
Hey, Dante.
Orbs up.
This came in and assassinated the poor doll!
You piece of shit!
I had to.
They have a small AoE.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw a reprisal out. I don't know.
Oh, okay, alright.
Have a good raid session, y'all. Thanks, Waho.
Judgment Jolt.
Bye.
That's gonna hurt.
See you later. You're all dead, by the way.
Oh, hey!
Oh, wait, that's an instant wipe?
I see! I see!
That was like, now you guys know how I feel with you.
Your beam's going out soon. Get your position.
Everything's fine. This is fine.